I have had the pleasure of playing what many would consider one of the better games in the Tales series, and that game is Tales of Graces F Remastered. And in today's video, I'm going to be going over my thoughts and opinions with the game. So with that all being said, what is up guys, Jen here, hope you're all doing well. Welcome back to the channel. As always, got your cool timestamps in the description down below, so if you want to skip to a certain section, feel free to do so. All I ask is of you to support the channel and hit that like button, and if you want to stick around for some more content, then please consider hitting that subscribe button. Shout out to Bandai Namco for providing me with a code for review so I can gather my thoughts, my opinions, and the footage you are seeing in today's video. Though that does not influence any of my opinions, these are my opinions and my opinions alone. It's important sometimes when you talk about a series that has many games, your history, so you know where I'm coming from when I'm going over my thoughts and opinions, and my Tales history is a bit all over the place, but I'll keep it quite brief. I started off with Tales of Exilia. That was my first Tales game, this exact copy right here, and I absolutely loved it. I rolled credits and I wanted to dive in deeper with the Tales series, so I then got Tales of Graces F, but believe it or not, I only played the first hour and I left it. So I am going into this one pretty damn fresh. As for other games I've played in the series, I've played Vesperia and I've played Arise. So not all of them, but a few of them. And I've got to say, this one, I agree, is probably one of the better ones in the series. So let's dive in to Tales of Graces F Remastered, and we're going to start off with the story. Tales of Graces F follows the journey of Asbel Lant, a young man from a small village who becomes entangled in a grand adventure after a fateful reunion with his childhood friend, Sophie. Asbel and his companions set out to uncover the truth behind a devastating conflict that threatens their world. Throughout the story, themes of friendship, growth, and the consequences of war unfold, as the characters must navigate their personal struggles while facing larger threats. Asbel's journey ultimately explores the meaning of responsibility, sacrifice, and the bonds that hold people together in the face of adversity. And I don't really want to dive in too much with the characters and the story because I'm still going through it. I'm thoroughly enjoying what I'm experiencing so far, the way it's told through its skits and its cutscene. I'm pretty locked in and I am having a good time so far. So let's dive straight in to the gameplay of Tales of Graces F Remastered. I always like to start off with exploration, and I really like the way the Tales games explore exploration. We have towns, we have dungeons, we have open fields to explore, there's routes off the off-beaten path, there's items in chests, there's little sparkly things, I'm always a fan of that. There's of course the discoveries, which are major landmarks throughout the world, and some of these places just look beautiful. With the way that they've upscaled everything, it truly brings out the best of the world of Tales of Graces F. There are many NPCs and it is worthwhile to talk to all of them. Not only do they give you world lore or tips, like there was one guy straight in the beginning of the village was like, hey, these are pretty famous landmarks around this area. I don't know, you might want to check them out. And I did check them out, and obviously they got filled into my discovery book. Not only that, they give you items. Talk to everyone, even the animals, they talk and they might give you some tips or some items. So I definitely advise you just explore. The world is your oyster. The NPCs definitely help out. There's also side quests, and the way that Tales of Graces tackles it, you go to an inn, there's a list of things, there's some items that are required, you trade them in, you get SP to go towards your skills, and then you kind of rinse and repeat. Though I've not really discovered the way that these get thrown into the mix. I don't know if I need to make certain story progression or I just need to let time pass. As I've been to each inn throughout my playthrough, there's always been some side quests there for me to tackle to get some items or grind a certain monster or defeat a certain monster. One of my favorite things is the library menu. As you progress, especially through the beginning of the game, you get a lot of books. You get like a discovery book that I've previously mentioned with the landmarks. You get a bestiary. I love myself a bestiary to have a look through all the monsters and have a mess around with the 3D model viewer. There's also like a checklist of all the items and the weapons and the armors. So for completionists, that's always nice to make sure that it's all powerful. There is also a user's tips book, so if you're ever feeling a little bit lost, visit this and you can refresh yourself with some of the game's mechanics. One of the final things I want to talk about is dualizing. You come across these NPCs, they're part of the Turtles HQ, and you have the opportunity to combine items to make new items, or maybe you want to enhance certain items that you have to make them a little bit more powerful. I have visited every single one that I come across because every time I've gone into that menu, something's glowing green telling me that I can combine it with something else, whether that's a meal, a new weapon, a new item that I can sell for some money. It's all there and it's definitely worth exploring. The last thing I want to talk about while we're talking about exploration and menus is the skits. It is a Tales tradition and they don't fail here. I love skits because it's amazing character building. No other game does it quite like the Tales series. You meet a new character, they join your party, and the skits are a perfect way to start to get a grasp of their personality and the way they interact with other characters, not just Asbel, but the rest of the characters and how they are reacting to certain discoveries you come across, certain events, certain locations. It's really, really nice to just have a little bit more in-depth look at some of these characters, and the skits do it so damn well. So let's move on to combat, and this is where Tales of Graces F really gets its reputation, because we have the style shift combat system. We have two sets of arts we can mess around with. We have the A arts and the B arts, and that might sound really basic, and at its core it really is, but the complexity and the amount that you can experiment with this system as you unlock new things and the way you just apply it to that combat, you can't go wrong. There's so much here, and I bet there's so much more for me to explore as I go through further into the game. It's fast paced, and again, that might sound simple, just trying to get the enemies defeated as soon as possible, but as you weave in and out the A and B arts and really manage your CC, your chain capacity, you can feel really satisfied with some of the things you're going to end up pulling off. You have a little side mission while you go into combat, like defeat enemies under 10 seconds, or have a chain of 12 attacks, or make sure that you hit 5 successive arts, and you're thinking, okay, how can I tackle this? And when you pull it off, it's dead good. And it's such a good way to learn the combat system, like these little challenges, because at first I was like, oh, I need to manage my CP, I'm going back and forth, I'm running around freely with the L2 button trying to avoid, but then I'm like, I need to really replenish my CC, but then learning that certain arts will replenish it if I hit them successfully. It's so good the way it does it, and it's really beginner friendly, and you probably walk away being so much better than you were walking in. Ultimately, it's a very fun, experimental combat system, and that only gets bigger with the titles. Now, titles in Tales games have always been there, and sometimes it's just simply a title you have on your character. But this time, with Tales of Graces F, it teaches you abilities. Maybe it will increase a couple of stats. Maybe it might even give you a costume. But you unlock these as you progress the story, or maybe you discover a certain location, or you buy a lot of items at the shop. There's so many ways to get these titles, and it's worth just doing what the game has to offer to unlock these titles, because there might be a stat buff or an art that really would help out considerably. And I really like the way they do titles here in Tales of Graces F. Now, the last thing I want to talk about when it comes to combat, because it kind of relates to the combat, is the Eleth mixer. This is a considerable bit of kit here because there's so much you can do with it, and there's a lot of enhancements that will really help you out when it comes to combat. Essentially, it gives you the access to equip items into the mixer, and there are a couple of things that you can do. You can put in dishes, which will allow you to automatically cook them during battle as long as you've hit the prerequisite for it to trigger, and you have books that you can use that will give you some bonuses, and these can be battle bonuses, field bonuses, or even mixer bonuses that will help out your playthrough considerably. And as you get through the game, you have more slots, there's more things to mess around with. I had a few things that healed me after battle, gave me a little bit boost in the middle of battle. It all works out. It's something like a lot of things here in Tales of Graces F that you can experiment with. Now comes to the remastered part of Tales of Graces, and I was looking and experiencing some of these quality of life things, and I couldn't believe they weren't in the original game. So I think a lot of people will like these, both new and old players. So let's go through some of the things that you can expect while playing Tales of Graces F Remastered. We have a dash, and a very fast dash nonetheless. This is pretty crazy fast. You get it from A to B pretty quickly, and you can turn it off, but I think once you've started using it, I think you're not going to want to ignore it. We can turn enemy encounters on and off, and yes, enemies are out on the field. Essentially, you run into them, it triggers battle, but when you turn these off, you run into them and nothing happens. So if you wanted to just mission on through some of the story, or just get from A to B a lot quicker with that dash function as well, you can do that. But of course, this isn't going to affect any of the story scripted battles. We can skip cutscenes and skits. I don't know why you'd want to. Maybe you're playing through it for a second time, but the option is there. Autosave is always a blessing because you never know what might happen. The fact that it autosaves on every map that you visit, whether you go into a building or you go out of the town, it's always nice to have. We have the grade shop available. Now, I didn't know what the grade shop was, but when I loaded up the game, it asked me, do I want to use it? And I was like, okay, let's have a look. And it had the option to have double EXP, more gold, more Eleth mixer properties, so it will recharge a lot faster, earning SP faster, so I can get those titles a little bit quicker than usual. There's so many things here to mess around with. You might just want to leave it alone for your first playthrough, but for those that want maybe a little bit of help, maybe they want to just experience what this story's about and get really deep into the combat, might want to turn some of those little boosters on and have a pretty good time with it. The big one here that was a lifesaver for me is a destination icon, especially when I'm traversing through some of these dungeons with multiple routes. This is the best quality of life right here, and I don't know if the OGs and the veterans of Tales of Grace's F would agree with me, but this definitely helps having this on the screen. And if you want to, you can turn it off. There are so many other things here. For example, you can retry at the end of any battle, so instead of getting a game over and having to reload, you can just retry the battle straight off the bat. There's even little things like having subtitles for the battle scenes, because what I really like about the fanfares of Tales of games is the characters, again, they interact, we get a bit of personality, and sometimes you might not be able to hear what they're saying, so there's subtitles there for those that want them. And the last but not least is a lot of DLC. All of the DLC except, I guess, some branded ones or ones that were just like one-time deals aren't here, but there is a lot, including costumes, background music for the battles from all Tales games all the way up to Arise, and everything else in between, and just a lot of good stuff to make this the ultimate package when it comes to Tales of Grace's F. The last thing I would like to touch on, if I may, is the music. I like Tales music. It always gets me in the mood, from the town themes to the battle themes to the overworld themes. But if you get the deluxe edition, you have the battle BGM pack that is included. And like I said, you've got all battle music, whether it's a boss battle theme or just a normal battle theme, from all of the Tales games from the beginning all the way to Tales of Arise. So there's a nice selection for those that would want some more music in their experience of Tales of Grace's F. And that about does it. I think I've covered everything. If there's anything you want to know, let me know in the comment section down below. Are you going to be getting Tales of Grace's F Remastered? I appreciate your time. Thank you for watching, and until next time, I'll catch you on the flip side.